Top of the day to you all and welcome to this special edition of the program. Press Hour today is anchored from the Distance Learning Center of the Ministry of Secondary Education, located directly opposite the Higher Teacher Training College, ENS Yaoundé. Speaking in 2003 to Mindset Network, a group working to improve education and health in South Africa, the all-time peace crusader Nelson Mandela said, I quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Some critical observers have attributed the stabilized situation in Cameroon amidst serious socio-political and economic turbulence to the high literacy rate of Cameroonians, within a backdrop of physical barriers caused by crises and risks of movement, as well as health challenges. With the COVID-19 in the spotlight, the Ministry of Secondary Education is leading a mass distance learning era in Cameroon. And this comforts the head of an American business law firm, Andrew Baraf, who says, I quote, "Technology in the classroom is not the end goal. Enabling learning everywhere is the goal." And this is the premise from which we're going to have today's debate, today's conversation with top-ranking officials from the Ministry of Secondary Education. And our topic is modern learning methods. Is Cameroon on track? Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome back. Permit me introduce to you the panel of today's special edition of Press Hour. Professor Nalova Lyonga herself, the Minister of Secondary Education, is here. And it's an honor to welcome her to Press Hour today. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have you here.
Oh, you know from this already, you know we're going to get the real things. You know so many reforms have been taken by her, the type of things you call courageous things that are done in Cameroon to improve on the educational system. You have a good number of them in the course of this program. We have the Secretary General in the Ministry of Secondary Education, Professor Fabian Court, who is right here also. I always like to call him a gentleman. You're welcome to Press Hour, sir.
Thank you for inviting me. This is the second time. As you know, last time my boss asked me to represent her in your program. It is a pleasure.
And you represented her so ably. I'm going to have a taste of that again today on the program. We have some other panelists. Mr. Njomnang Chachuang Leopold is the Director of Legal Affairs in the Ministry of Secondary Education. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, hello televiewers. Thank you for this occasion given to us.
Sitting next to you is Mr. Ajaba Abiwoli Jean-Pierre, Coordinator of the Distance Education. And it is in his center where we are right now. He has the privilege to receive the Minister of Secondary Education and her entourage. You're welcome to Press Hour, sir.
Thank you for the invitation, and you are welcome.
Yes, we are inviting you in your own house because this is Press Hour, broadcasting from here. Now we have the principal of Government Bilingual Technical High School, SAM, Madame Harlison Mary Mesame Eposamabo. It's our pleasure to welcome you.
Thanks so much for the privilege given. And I pray that all will go well with us.
It will go well. On Press Hour, everything goes well. That's right. Yes, thank you very much. And we're going to introduce the principal of Government Bilingual High School, Yaoundé, Mr. Tambe Agbo. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Da. We are humbled to have been invited on this platform.
We see Alida Vem Nui is a student of Government Bilingual High School. Is a student who just passed her advanced level education, and she passed with flying colors. Alida, you're welcome to this program.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we are happy you are here. You see, you're going to sit with the highest authority in secondary education. This also is a privilege for you. And we have kept our own Joe Tiemonto, my colleague, senior journalist, exceptional class at CRTV, super scale in probation. Joe, you're welcome to Press R.
Thanks immensely, Killian. I'm grateful that the minister and her close aides are here, and the televiewers will have a nice time with secondary education in Cameroon and even beyond.
Talking about high-level representation here, ladies and gentlemen, everybody who is in the Ministry of Secondary Education is here. We have an august guest on Press R, Mr. Baola Boniface is the Secretary of State to the Minister of Secondary Education. He is right here, and he will be taking part as an august guest on this program. All the other directors are here and some other people. You just know that the program today, as I announced earlier, is special, and everything will be special. First thing first, press review is done for us by Yoti Kalele Songe.
Lurid details of the Glencore corruption scandal featured on this week's tabloids. The Post is straightforward in its account, quoting barrister Kerem Muna, who reveals that the culprits are within Cameroon, and the Guardian Post puts it directly, underscoring the National Hydrocarbons Corporation's readiness to expose accomplices. Municipal Updates in the opinion column brings out the aspect of corruption as a global obstacle to local development. A Revelation Newswatch describes as SNH lifting the veil on their staff's involvement. Another issue highlighted in the week's papers is the Presidential Reconstruction Plan of the Northwest and Southwest regions, which Cameroon Insider explains has been retouched for more efficiency, leading officials to swing into full action, as seen on Municipal Updates. Hate speech and its far-reaching consequences also came under scrutiny. This, as Cameroon Tribune writes on the visit of an august guest to Cameroon, Volker Turk, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, just when the Herald Tribune explicitly recounts episodes of the Anglophone crisis. This same week, the Ministry of Secondary Education launched a unique registration number initiative to limit fraud in schools. The Universal Health Coverage Plan in the country, too, was dissected in the course of the week. Likewise, articles on the Paris Olympic Games where even Cameroonian athlete Emmanuel Eseme couldn't make it, as well as Fecafoot parting ways with the national team kit supplier, One All Sports. This very week, the print media broke news on the passing away of the former CAF president, Issa Hayatou.
Thank you very much, Yoti, for telling us what the newspapers fed on in the course of the week. On Press R, we always make sure that we pick 1 point, 1 or 2 points from press review and talk about. And it's always our pressman who does that for us. Joe Tiemonto, which of those stories caught your attention?
Killian, televiewers, the issue of hate speech, not only in Cameroon but among humanity as a whole, was one of the essential issues that was discussed during the conference that took place at the International International Relations Institute of Cameroon, IRIC, in Yaoundé. And I would tell you that the Musonge-led commission is very articulate about peace building in Cameroon and dissuasive communication towards hate speech, which can be dangerous to any society. I will not evoke the experiences of the Tutsi and the Hutus in yesteryear Rwanda, but I would rather say that prevention is better than cure, because that experience is very bitter in the memories of humanity, and Cameroon is very emphatic that we should be able to live in a society where we are peace builders, to live in a society where we respect laws and norms, and peace building is such that hate speech cannot accommodate if the two were to be put together. And I would also say that the conference that took place in IRIC laid special emphasis on hate speech because it is part of dissuasive communication, which is also the goal of the government of Cameroon to build a united society.
Thank you. And it's a problem of human rights. You know, it was the boss of the world boss of human rights. And he was invited to Cameroon by the President of the Republic, and he was received in audience by some other top officials of the country. I just have to go to the two principals of secondary schools to ask you, what are you doing in your different institutions to discourage hate speech amongst your students, because we have to make sure that we stop it at that level. Yes, beginning with Madam Alida.
In our schools, we do a lot through the subjects we teach. The whole entire curriculum is such rich in terms of moral upbringing that will have a lot to do to eradicate hate speech.
She's talking about morality. Is part of the crusade of the Minister of Secondary Education in what she has baptized clean schools. You talk about morality. It's not only about physical cleanliness, it's also about moral cleanliness. She's right here. I know she will not say that that's not what it is, because I understand that so well. Yes?
Well, in the implementation of the clean school philosophy in Bilingual High School Yaoundé, students in this institution come from the 10 regions of our nation. And so we have conceived a code of conduct which includes all the various crimes that could be committed, hate speech inclusive. And this has been forwarded to the regional delegation for approval. That's what we have been using. And annually, any student who infringes on the school rules and regulations is sanctioned scrupulously.
Yes, I trust you. I know you so well personally. We're going to name you Mr. Discipline, that I can count on you. I'm going to take the last two people who are not going to go all around. I cannot fail to take the Secretary General in the Ministry of Secondary Education, Professor Fabien Quote. Tell us, what are you doing before I come to policy to discourage hate speech in the school milieu as a policymaker?
Well, we are very privileged that you know more about what is going on within the Ministry of Secondary Education, since you talked about the clean school philosophy that Madam Minister put in place under the supervision of the head of government and the head of state. So the clean school is tackling two aspects. Now you have the physical cleanness, because you have also the green school that is under the clean school, the green areas within the school compound, and you have also the morality, you know, of the people that are involved in the secondary education system. So it's banning corruption, you know, banning hate speech, promoting dialogue, and also promoting togetherness within the secondary education milieu.
Thank you very much. And Madam Minister is here, the initiator of this philosophy. What motivated you?
The first thing is that we have two spheres in Cameroon, English and French. And I tell everyone in Ministry of Secondary Education that, remember, we have languages. We don't have a first language and a second language. And I would not like to hear that things are done in one language and then they are translated into the other language. And the first language in which they are done in is in French. And quite often, they have to translate it into English. So I say, if the thing was done in English, it should be done in English and it will be translated into French. So people have to be able to know how to respect the person from the other side of Cameroon. we are all very important. You have a minority which is in fact not a minority. A minority only in your mind if you see it as such. But it's a very respectful, very important, very significant minority, which if you don't take care of that minority, it will cause you a lot of discomfort. So take note, please, to identify the Anglophone and the Francophone as two brothers and sisters, kindred people who are sharing the space called Cameroon.
Thank you very much, and it's working well. It goes in line with the overall policy of the Cameroonian state, where we promote living together, we promote equality, we promote what you've just talked about. Thank you very much for that. And we are going right away to get into our focus of today, and the focus is modern learning methods. If you like, you put it modern teaching methods. Is Cameroon on track? Now, we are still digesting the results of the GCE baccalaureate exams of all levels, probatoire and the rest, because it falls under your jurisdiction. How do you appreciate the results of this year, given that at one point, be it in the French subsystem or the English subsystem of education, we had a general drop in the results?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. As a teacher, I've always been a teacher, and I will die a teacher.
You taught me in the 90s.
I know that.
1991, 92, 93, you were my
right.
teacher.
So as a teacher, for me, you ask me, if I set exams, I expect all the students to pass. If I have taught them, I expect all of them to pass. If I have results such as I have today, you know, and you ask me, what do you think about that result? When you give results, you have hopes, you have aspirations, you have, maybe the results will come out and you'll have a sense of failure, you'll have feelings of disappointment, you know. I have mixed feelings as far as these results are concerned. One of the problems that we have done this year is that we have focused too much, that is immediately the results started coming, too much on one part, a very small part of the examinations.
Which one is that?
Baccalaureate, general, the general baccalaureate. Is that all that MINESEC is doing?
No, of course.
Certainly not. That's not all that MINESEC is doing. We need to encourage our students. We should not discourage the students because students are doing a lot. And I think that the parents are trying their best, but we are not yet there. They are not where we expect them to be. If you like, I can ask the Secretary General to give us an idea of what are the exams that MINESEC deals with. And when I'm talking about the fact that we have dwelt on just a small part of it.
Yes, the Secretary General, please.
The Ministry of Secondary Education is having three structures that are dealing with exams. You have the Office du Baccalauréat du Cameroun, that is dealing with baccalauréat, l'enseignement général, baccalauréat, technical baccalauréat, and it's also dealing with the general probatoire and the technical probatoire. You have the GCE, that is dealing with the advanced level and the ordinary level. And you have the directorate in charge of exams at the Ministry of Secondary Education, that is dealing with the BEPC as well as with the CAP, you know, and it's also dealing somehow with the teacher training examination. That is the landscape of exams within the Ministry of Secondary Education.
Thank you. But let us know what explains the drop in results. Yes, we have understood the various areas.
Yes, but the point is that the technical exams are excellent.
Okay. Yes.
With 80-something%.
And people are not talking about that.
And people are not talking about that. As my Secretary General usually reminds us, people talk about the train that has come into the station late rather than the ones that came in early. Okay, so we are always talking about the train that came in late. But how about exams where people have scored 80-something, 90-something. We have some head teachers here. I don't know whether that's a case in point. But, I mean, people have done so well in certain parts. But, of course, there is a general drop. But if we talk about the general drop, let us find out, what is it about our social milieu this year? What were the causes last year? What things happened last year that could have caused the results to be low? You know, there are a lot of things. You know, we still have, the war is still going on.
Yeah.
Our children are still traumatized. Should they go to school? Should they not go to school? Is somebody going to cut off my head today? Is somebody not going to shoot me down or something of the sort? The children, school-going population is still very, very traumatized.
Yes, exactly.
And to go to school in that condition is not an easy thing. That's why I say that we have to encourage the students. They have tried their best. But the students going to school, they are also, you know, distracted.
Very much so. Now, let me ask you, you encourage them, yes. How do you encourage them, and what are the other things that you are doing to improve education in Cameroon?
You have to encourage them by telling them that they have done well.
Okay.
By telling them that in spite of what is happening in their milieu, they have done well. They are going down because we expect them to go down, where they don't have teachers. If you don't have, you have a half full house, is it going to give you the same impact as a full house? Certainly not.
No, certainly not. And Joe Tiamoncho is here, my colleague.
Yes.
The minister has talked about teachers, and we know that teachers came up the year before last year, with so many grievances. Joe, you address, you know about that. Can you highlight that point? And
Exactly.
Then we'll get the reply from
Kilian, we understand that a handful of teachers have been bearing grudges, especially on the non-payment of their complete salaries, arrears, and even advancements. And
also of the late payment, sometimes not only non-payment of late
payment. And the minister is fully aware, and we thank God she is here with us. What is the way forward, and how are you tackling those challenges, Madam the Minister?
Well, the first thing is that the teachers were angry about the fact that they were being paid 2/3 of their salaries.
Right.
And anybody who is having 2/3 of his or her salary ought to be angry about that. But you cannot be angry forever, because there is such a thing called dialogue, and you can dialogue with those who are governing the whole thing. And one of the things that they have to be very happy about is the way the head of state attacked this problem. The head of state promptly paid all this money, full salary and housing allowance, full. We're talking 27 billion, all paid. You remember that when this thing was made known, everybody said, oh, is Paul Biya, excuse me, the way I'm trying to repeat their words, is he going to pay all this money back? Yes, and of course he paid. He's paid everything. Okay, now that he's paid everything, and there are some things that are left, and if people begin to be angry about things that have not been paid for, what would you do when the things have been paid for? That is, if they did not get their money before, and the head of state said, I'm going to pay all your money, and you say that I'm going to continue, I'm still angry, trop c'est trop, you know, so I'm going to continue to be angry. What are you going to do after he has paid you? What do you do about the fact that you did not teach when he did not pay you? Can you recall that time? You cannot.
Very important question.
Madam, by induction, are you saying that the government has fully compensated those teachers who had lost salaries?
I am saying that precisely that. And I just gave you, I'm talking about 47 billion here. That amount has been paid. And you don't need to get it from me. It should be gotten from the Ministry of Finance. because they are the house that takes care of finances. So they have been paid. If there are other things, you have advancements, you have reclassification, you have integration, etc. Those are things that come. Those are work in progress. It comes from time to time. But for now, money that was owed you has been paid. What do you tell Paul Biya for doing that?
No, we will certainly not have anything to tell him because
The gratitude at least should be
yeah.
part of it. At least if somebody owes you some money and it is paid, why not say thank you? Why not show gratitude?
Exactly.
But Madam, my worry before you continue the anchor is the aspect of strike action which is persistent in the vocabulary of teachers syndicate. Time and again they say we are going to express dissatisfaction because of this or that. The salary has not been paid, transfers have not been done, profile of teachers not respected. Those who came out of school yesterday are lording it over those who have had 25, 30 years of experiences. It is a house of grudges. Do you say that with the grudges they have the leeway for any strike action?
I don't even know that they should go on strike. That's what I'm saying. Strike is not the way to go. And I'm saying dialogue is the way to go. That's the way forward. You know, the word strike is all over in Cameroon. It's not just in Minesec. It's not just in secondary education. And I'm saying that it's unfortunate that teachers who are the best, the morally correct people that you can find in a country should go that way, especially taking away such as going to class and not teaching. If I am a teacher, I would say, no, I cannot do that. Because when they would pay my salary, I would not be able to give this time that I have lost.
Briefly, I'm going to ask you one question in two phases, in two facets. The exodus of teachers, so many of them are going out of the country. What is their responsibility? What responsibility do they have? Impact do they have in the low results that we recorded? And what is the responsibility of the student?
When you have all your teachers, you will have different results from if you have just half of your teachers. The teachers are going. And our problem, I've said this before, and I think that the problem of the government is not that they are going, but that when you're going, leave the money behind. They go, they take the money, and they go. Why? We cannot hold them back. So let them go. They have the freedom to go, but let them leave the money.
There is also another aspect of this issue. That is, you should bear in mind that the Ministry of Secondary Education is offering its personnel to many public administration in Cameroon, okay? Because you have some public administration that do not have dedicated personnel, and they are coming to the Ministry of Secondary Education to take our personnel that they are using in those public administration.
Okay.
So that one also is a challenge. But you know, there is also government solidarity. We don't talk about it, but it's part of the problem. When you look at the big picture, you should also factor that aspect.
Very good. Thank you for that clarification. We are going to talk about this center as part of the policies of the Ministry of Secondary Education, the Distance Learning Center. And I have the coordinator of the center with us, Mr. Ajaba Biwoli. Jean-Pierre, yes, tell us exactly how this center functions.
When we talk about distance education or virtual education, it's very important also to know that equipment and infrastructure are very important. I start by it to put in place the fact that our minister here present do her best in order to help the distance education center first to be put in place in terms of infrastructure, in terms of equipment, hard and soft. When we talk hard equipment, it is a computer, it is a camera, and so on. When we talk about soft equipment, it is a website, it is a YouTube channel, and so on. So all of that have been put in place by the minister here present in order to modernize our teaching and learning and improve the quality.
Thank you very much. I
So
must
yes.
testify. I must tell you that I got marveled when I visited the different studios, the recording studios. I even had this virtual laboratory. And Yoti Kale Lesonge visited also and put together the following report. For us, after that report, we're going to continue with how well this distance learning initiated by the Minister of Secondary Education is helping to get knowledge everywhere in Cameroon. Yoti?
Time and space barriers between the teacher and the student are broken here. Within these walls are virtual classrooms. There are 5 fully equipped studios to facilitate the teaching-learning process in this digital era.
Today we are having a geography lesson for upper 6, and before we move to our lesson proper, in our last session we were given an assignment.
The aura is one of People, Women, Business and Chemistry Practicals, Lesson 54. For opposite science is today's focus.
Welcome to this learning session. I'm Lumni Gingu Innocent, and I'm your chemistry teacher.
All the necessary apparatus to prepare a soda solution are also displayed. It's just like being in a physical science laboratory.
We use electronic balance to get the exact mass of the chemical in question. Now you can see how the wash bottle is used to get the mass of the chemical. Now this weight mass is transferred into a beaker, then water is added into the beaker, and then the solution is stirred with by means of a glass rod until it is homogeneous. We have a homogeneous solution. This solution now, you see the stirring that is done, is transferred now to the volumetric flask through the filter funnel.
The most important lesson of the day is that this setting complements the regular classroom.
Sometimes we go into physical lab once we have done the practicals once. It becomes expensive to do it, to repeat the same procedure. So virtual lab comes in to reinforce that aspect so that with virtual lab, students can repeatedly do one and the same practical exercise and reinforce, and thereby they are engaged into the lesson.
Keeping eyes on the instructors is cardinal, explaining the required presence of a pedagogic team.
It's so important to have a pedagogic team in a virtual classroom to make sure that the content which is being taught is in line with the syllabus for the class. And if there are any errors, there are any mistakes, the pedagogic team is in place to correct it immediately. The way it is recorded, if there's an error, we can pause and do the correction immediately, and the lesson continues. It has never happened, but if it happens that the teacher is not handling the lesson well, then it is possible for the pedagogic team member to climb up the stage, because the teachers are very competent.
It's a painstaking activity to give learners nothing short of the best in terms of training. They are going all the way to ensure quality education in the nation.
Place the funnel on the volumetric flask. Pour all the contents of the beaker in the volumetric flask.
A virtual lab is also how to reach out to those on a quest for knowledge, guiding them through the right answers at every turn.
We made a virtual lab called MINSEC Lab. It's a virtual lab made in distance education in collaboration with Computer Science Department of Higher Teacher Training College of Yaoundé. It allows students to make experimentations in different subjects like chemistry, biology, physics, and computer science. This platform you use to develop the lab, and when we finish, we export the lab to a version can be installed in different computers. The different experimentations of the virtual lab are designed based on the official programs and in collaboration with the national inspectors of the different subjects specifics. So they give us the protocol and we implement it in the virtual lab and they validate.
The dreams for Cameroon's secondary education system are big, and this Center for Distance Education conveys the bigger picture, one wherein learning becomes like playing a video game. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I, Yuti, am your journalism teacher for today. Our topic is Press Hour. Thousands of such lessons are available at the MINISEC e-learning platform on YouTube.
Yes, you all watched that with us, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go to the youngest of us here, and I think is the privileged guest on Press Hour, Alida. We see Alida Vermeuil, a student of Government Bilingual High School, Yaoundé. Tell us, where are you now? You succeeded in A-level. What were your results?
I passed in 5 papers.
Congratulations.
5 subjects.
Speak louder. Yes. Tell us, did the distance learning help you? How did it help you to improve on your performance?
Due to lack of some textbook, pamphlets, and some manuals, the distance learning lessons helped me to review some misunderstood lessons and to cover up some lessons that were untaught in my previous class, which was lower seat.
How did you do that? Where were you getting that from?
From this site on the internet.
So you use your phone to get into the distance learning class?
Yes, sir.
This is interesting. Were you doing that as an individual, or you used to group yourselves as students?
I used to group myself with my friends.
Okay.
And the distance learning lessons can be found everywhere, and you can watch it anytime and anywhere you want, over and over for better practice.
Now you have passed the high school level, you are going into the university. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Are you going
sir.
to say bye-bye to distance learning, or what are you planning to do now?
I'm going to encourage my younger ones to follow up the distance learning lessons.
Yes, I'll get to some of the teachers who are taking care of these young ones to get acquainted and use this new technology to enhance their knowledge. First of all, Mrs. Hallison Mary Mesame, how is this practical in your school?
Digitalization is the jewel of the reforms we are enjoying in Cameroon in recent times. In my school, for example, the students in each of the classes, we first of all have the open fora. We have forums for each class, and then we follow keenly the programs that are placed on our disposal during holidays. The 3 vacations, the distance education makes available the timetable and for which the students are connected, and we follow fully. Because we are also equipment sufficient, we are able to do that within the school milieu, and also permit the students to do it at individual levels at home. We insist on the fact that all the lessons should be in a digital form. Even if you are to prepare your lessons, make sure you have the lesson both in hard copy and in soft copy, such that in terms of your non-availability, the students will not
be
lack.
Punished. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much.
The students will not be lacking.
Yes, let me get the experience. Yes, let me get the experience of the principal of Government Bilingual High School Yaoundé, Mr. Tambe.
In terms of the pedagogic structure of digitalization, we have installed 5 digitalization kits, which are also connected to the 5 studios at the Distance Education Center. We have also designated for each subject and at each level of instruction a teacher who is in charge of digitalization. At each department in the French and English subsystem, we have provided USB sticks where all the lessons which are found at the Distance Education Center, we have downloaded them, placed at the disposal of the students and the teachers. The teachers use the digitalized pedagogic resources prepared by expert professional curriculum experts to place at the disposal of the students through each class pedagogic WhatsApp group or at the Multimedia Resource Center or the other specialized halls, which are 5 in number.
Thank you very much, Joe. My colleague, I told you this is a special edition of Press R. Joe has the right to ask some questions. Yes.
Indeed, it is such a laudable initiative that the Ministry of Secondary Education has taken. How is this distance learning taken to the periphery? And I would bring to focus the northwest and the southwest regions, where some hoodlums are anti-education. And because of those hoodlums, government schools have come to a standstill to a certain extent. And I saw a senior divisional officer with machete in hand clearing the premises of an institution simply because it is not possible for the teachers to get to the classroom and the learners to get to the classroom for the activities to be undertaken. And again, I acknowledge your difficulties, madam, in the reality that behind every teacher in the northwest or southwest, we cannot have a soldier for security. How do you intend to take this to the periphery, given the challenges, not only in those two regions, but in the other parts of Cameroon, where distance learning can create the same impact that has created in Yaoundé for a young girl or a young boy, like the young girl we just saw, to be able to earn better credit or point in Kaele, in Pomla Manga in the north. Why not in the far northwest, northwest, southwest, east, and the 10 regions of the Republic of Cameroon?
Yes, thank you, John.
Second preoccupation before Madam gets to that. Can we say that the students are partly responsible for their failure? Your analysis to encourage them as if they too are not responsible for the failure.
Where people cannot go to school, they group together. Here's why the whole philosophy of living together makes sense. Because students should know how to accept a student who comes from the northwest or some village back where they cannot study and sympathize with him or her, and they form groups. This has been the strategy in the northwest. I'm telling you that this is a place where we have a lot of fighting, but this is the place that we had some of the highest percentages scored during these examinations. In Bamenda, what do? They just bring students together in one school, in a big hall, and you have you have lessons that are given so that the students can understand. That can be done. So we have said that don't go and teach where you get your head cut off.
Exactly.
If you are not safe, yes, if you are not safe, don't do it. We're not sending the teachers to the slaughterhouse, but we're saying that if you cannot do it, close your doors, write to the delegate, and let the delegate redeploy you. So you go to another school and teach. But what happens is that some of them just decide to stay home. They don't go and go to other places, go and do their trade other than teaching, you know, which is not the same thing.
This is coming from the Minister of Secondary Education.
Yeah.
Write to the delegate, get redeployed.
Yeah.
Do not go and sit somewhere, do something else.
Exactly.
And thank you very much for that message.
Exactly.
It goes far and wide.
That is so important.
The Secretary General, Professor Fabien Cotte, has more messages in that light.
Prior to the exams period in Cameroon, the Distance Education Center from here is organizing revision classes in all the subjects, and all the students around the country can be involved and are effectively involved in this revision program. It is very important that parents are aware of this opportunity that is offered to them by the Ministry of Secondary Education.
Thank you very much, sir. We're going to open a new chapter in our conversation today, and it's going probably to be the chapter that will end this debate, this discussion on education. And I'm going to ask.
We needed more time.
Yes, it's about the reforms that the Ministry of Secondary Education under Professor Nalova Lyonga has brought. A number of them. I should tell you that in my day, it even became worse when GCE results, I'm talking about GCE because that's what some of us wrote, when the results were released, it took 2 weeks, it took 3 weeks, it took people moving across regions to get their results, and sometimes I know about people who deceived their parents because the results were not available, and the parents will not know whether they passed or not. The situation has changed. Students and parents get their results instantly. Now, discipline in schools. I have the director in charge of legal affairs, Mr. Chachuang, who is here. In schools today, we have discipline problem where students go into drugs, students go into all forms of violence. Legally, what are you doing to make sure that teachers are not exposed? We know how teachers have been killed. Some teachers have been taken to court by parents. What are you doing as a ministry, as a department of legal affairs to protect these teachers and the good students?
Thank you very much. We have launched a program of regularization of the culture, the judicial culture on the field. So regarding the teacher now, we are going to tell them what's their right, what's their duty, what they have to do to face the problem of discipline. So we have launched that program, which will begin in this year, and we have also encouraged the school council to make sure that the internal regulation of the schools are going to take into consideration the new scales of violence that are going on in the schools, so we can combat them. So this is something that we are going to launch during this new year.
Thank you. I will now ask the minister just one first question to him before you come in, Joe, please.
Yes, I'll compliment shortly.
We know that is the policy. That's already the regulation. Sometimes we question regulations because when we look at them, they don't actually have the effect. The fact that students are not corporally punished in school.
Does it sparing the rod and spoiling the child?
Sparing the rod and spoiling the child. Legally, is there a way you could come up with a proposal for that regulation to be reviewed? Because somehow we think that it's anti-productive.
We think that we should not go toward physical punishment, because this is a disposition in our law of orientation, education orientation. Now that we are talking about the unique matricule registration, it means that we will have to know with that matricule whether this child is a violent child, is a drug consumer or not, so that we can follow him. And even when he is going to change the school, all the remarks that his behavior has to be known, we will just see how to control it. So we think that the question of physical violence, physical punishment is not something that we should return on.
Thank you very much. It should be daring for you to go against the official position
it should be
of the ministry. We understand that. So that is the position, but we had to ask our question.
But I have to tell you that I'm surprised that you're not thinking about the students who have died. You're not thinking about the teachers who have died as a result of violence.
You know,
It's
I mean,
appalling.
if I open the floor now, everybody will be saying, you know, you're not thinking of what is. You don't have, the way to correct a child is not to beat the child until the child dies. After he dies, whom are you correcting?
Well, we're talking about beating the child with responsibility. I was beating when I was small.
How many people know how to beat a child with responsibility? No. So long as you don't have the right, you are not the one who brought that child to the world. You don't have a right to take the child out of this world.
Thank you. That is the rule. We are going
Corporal
to
punishment has been taken away from the school activities,
Yes, Mr. Tambe, please, we don't have much time. I know you are itchy to talk. We cannot end this program without talking about the reforms. The Legal Affairs Director has already made mention of the unique identifier in perspective in the ministry. I was talking about releasing the results at the same time. We also know that PTA fee now is paid into banks. You have a good number, a panoply of reforms. Can we know some of them and how you actually plan to carry more to make education better in Cameroon?
Before he says anything, I think I need to
It's to you, this
indicate,
question.
yes. Okay, I need to indicate here that some papers, some of the media, have said that the Minister of Secondary Education has cancelled PTA. There's no longer any PTAs, and they're jubilating. Can you jubilate about that? Does one know what the PTA is there to do? The PTA is there to help the government to get people run the schools so that the children can go to school. Without PTAs, you cannot have all the electronic equipment that we're having in different schools.
Okay.
So the thing is that
and renovation works.
Exactly. So I did not make any announcement, and the media should stop saying that I made an announcement. I don't make announcements. When I need to do that, I really insist on it.
Now the reforms.
There are so many, Killian.
Let
Where
us
am
start
I
with
going to
the
start?
unique identifier in perspective.
Can we just take that one because it's coming up the next academic year? We're going to start it. In fact, in a few weeks' time, I'm going to announce that they should start paying their money, and this is the new method of paying their money. I would ask you to call on Mr. Dash, we call him Dash.
Yes.
Yeah, the legal man,
Yes.
to talk about.
Please
this.
tell us the unique identifier. That's the matricule.
Thank you very much. Before telling you about unique matricule, I would like to say that this reform came out because we wanted to ensure transparency, traceability, and security in the management of school funds. And we wanted to have to provide in real time access to the number of people in our schools, and we wanted also to increase the state resources. But during that the introduction of that reform, we have some dysfunction which occurred during the system, so that to avoid that dysfunction, to continue to hamper the reform, we decide to introduce the unique matricule, the unique registration number for the students. The unique matricule has to deal with the name of the student, his age, the place, the date of birth and place of birth. We have also his curriculum, the information concerning the school's curriculum. I mean the mark sheet or the transcript of the student. We can also have information concerning his health, because when a student is sick and his parent has to control his sickness, they can also signal to the school so that we can take some disposition, so that when we just
punch on the name of that student, all the information
we have all the
Thank you for that reform. We have 2 minutes left.
No,
2 minutes left.
Just one thing. Just one thing.
Yes.
The unique matricule help also to dematerialize the payment of tuition.
Okay.
So when you have to pay your tuition, you just use the unique matricule so that you use your phone or a electronic terminal, you can pay easily.
Thank you
without
very much.
being facing the fraud.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Kilian.
Yes, we don't have time for any other question. We
Madam,
have less than 2 minutes.
Okay.
She will only conclude. We cannot.
Madam gave a part on the back of technical education.
No, we cannot start a new. We cannot start a new topic now, Joe. Please, it is time. We just have the last word of the Secretary General, the last word of the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Naloba Adeonga, and then we'll close the program. Yes, we'll begin with the Secretary General. We'll always end with the Minister.
Just quickly, number one is to say that there is a take-home about the unique identifier, is that all the students of Cameroon, be they in the private school or in the public school, will have only one number, unique identifier. Yeah. If you are changing your school from one place to the other, the number will follow you. If you are going from public to private, the number will follow you. That is the take home. And number two that I wanted to stress on is one of our skills. That is the Secondary Education and Skills Development Project. That is known through its French acronym PADES. No. I wanted to talk about it, but
we don't have enough time.
You don't have.
No, we're going to organize another program and then elaborate on that. It is time for us to ask the Minister of Secondary Education to give us a take-home message.
Yeah, the take-home message is that students, please do not listen to social media. We're in an era today when telling lies has become almost like a profession. You know, and we are talking about artificial intelligence. That's one area where you're going to have a lot of lies developed. Exactly. Somebody can take your name and develop a whole thing which has nothing to do with you. But you must be able to tell what is the truth and what is lies. So we must get the students to understand and the parents to understand that listen to the lectures in school. Don't wait for somebody to give you questions or whatever it is through the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning on the day of the
examination. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, may I tell you we have a panoply of participants. Given that we don't have time to give them again by name, we just want to appreciate the Secretary General of the Ministry of Secondary Education, Professor Fabien Cotte, who was here. We want to appreciate highly the presence of Mr. Baola Boniface is in French, so we don't translate names. He is the Secretary of State to the Minister of Secondary Education, who is here, and all the director, the technical staff who were here. And to you, if you are not there, we will not have this program. Thanks very much. If you missed out on anything in this program today, you have a rebroadcast of the program on Monday at 2:30 on CRTV Premium, and at 9 p.m. after the news in French on CRTV News. Thanks for watching.